first thing I learned was podiums are the devil. You want to see my whole body, you'll never trust me. All right. So I hear at about 1 o'clock, some of you turn into a pumpkin and you got to get out of here. So we're going to go a little quicker than maybe the normal speaker. Now, I've just said 3 words that confirmed what he just said, that I'm not from around here. So let's do the housekeeping on the front end. I don't say the letter R. I don't say it at all. I think it sounds weird when I try. But here's the scary part. Good one, right, Pot? I've lived in Roswell, Georgia for 18 years. And when I go back to Cape Cod on vacation, all my buddies say the same thing. Wow, you've changed. You talk like a Southerner. Which begs the question, what on God's green earth did I sound like 18 years ago? Holy, it's like I moved. I picked up a Southern accent, and the Patriots haven't lost a football game since then. I had to. Let's go, my buddy in the back. Like, I did this a couple years ago in February after the last time we won the Super Bowl, and I get it that was hard for you guys. But you don't care about the Rams, do you? St. Louis, L.A., their fans don't even care about them. All right. We're going to do 3 things today. We're going to do a little bit of numbers, a little bit of stats, because I think it provides a little bit of context. I've been doing this for a long time. For the last 10 years, prior to like last fall, the news was just all good, and it was unicorns and rainbows, and all these markets, all they do is go up, and these stocks go up. I'm glad what happened, because it reminds everybody, because if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right? So we're going to do a little stats and a little numbers. We're going to go over a couple of core tenets. Who's the big guy? The big guy. What did you say? 10% is what happens, and 90% is how you handle it. I didn't pay you to say that, but he couldn't have set me up any better, because that's a big theme that I'm going to talk about. And then we're going to close with a story and a visual with some of the propaganda that I brought that I think is the most powerful visual on that 90%. So let's talk about some stats. How many people, the market, it was pretty bad there, the week of Christmas, everybody's trying to, have some wine and have some good times, and then you look at the news and they say the world is coming to an end. I get it. It happens all the time. You don't have to believe everything you hear, especially on a news channel. A financial guy like Kramer, who ran a hedge fund into the side of the mountain, who has no idea what he's talking about, but people in this room take their cues from him. It's scary stuff. So we had some turbulence last year. But if I was to be giving this speech last year, I would have told you this. How many people remember the fall of 2008? When I say fall, I mean autumn, but you're thinking the fall of 2008. I get it. Listen. My 401k came back dressed up as a 201k. I get it. I had a front row seat. That was some bad stuff. Some bad stuff. But from March 9th, March is another good one, March 9th of 2009, pretty much through last summer, it was really good. Quite frankly, what happened in December should have been the second time it happened since March of 2009. Because just some facts and figures. A bear and bull market. Everybody knows what that is? Well, for those who don't, maybe some of my shadow kids, although they're smarter than all of us, and they're going to be the biggest beneficiary of this. So bulls are good, bears are bad. The average length of a bull is about 5 years. The average length of a bear is about 1 year. But if we went from March of 2009 to 18 of all good news, that was twice as long as the average good market. So we should have had one in and around 13, 14, and then this one again in December. Here's my thesis. I don't care. I don't care. Couple reasons. One, have you ever heard the saying, only worry about the things you can control? Raise your hand if you've heard that saying. Is Zuckerberg going to call you and ask what he should do with Facebook ad revenue next year? Nope. Zuckerberg ain't calling you. Is the Fed chairman going to come and sit down with you and talk about rising rates or not rising rates? Nope. You can't, nobody can control any of it. So what's the sense of worrying? This market is going to do what this market is going to do. I don't care. You know why I don't care? A, I can't control it, and B, it's irrelevant. It is irrelevant. People think that the market determines their returns. It's not. It's your behavior. It's your behavior. Anybody in banking here back in '09? Okay. This is the scariest stat you should take away with, because we might be in one of those times here. So this is really good timing that we are speaking today. In the spring of 2009, if somebody said, hey, what was the biggest event that happened in the market in the spring of 2009? Many people would say, well, it bottomed out, right? That great recession finally came to an end. Irrelevant. Irrelevant. Something far worse and far more sinister happened in the spring of 2009. In the spring of 2009, we saw the largest inflow of 5-year CDs in the history of banks. I'm going to say that again because I need you with me. April of '09, the most amount of money ever went into 5-year CDs. Now I ask you, with hindsight as a quarterback, a Monday, Tuesday morning quarterback, was April of '09 a good time to go hide from the stock market for 5 years? Not only was it, no, it was the absolute worst date in history. If you had a dry erase marker and a whiteboard and you say, okay, what's the worst time I could leave the stock market? It was April of 2009. Why did it happen? Well, you had $100,000 at the beginning of '08. You opened up your '08 statement in January of '09 and you saw that you had $60,000. And you made your first mistake. What did you say? I've lost $40,000. You hadn't lost a dime. You were down $40,000. I'm not here to deny that. You hadn't lost a penny. How do you lose the penny? I'm not a big MMA guy, but it's the best visual. The guy in the Pats hat probably is an MMA. Everybody tapped out in the spring of 2009, which was the date you should have been doubling down on the market. Why is this important? Maybe we're in one of those. We actually don't think we are, but we saw a lot of CD flows just in January because of December behavior. It's like you never learn. Stocks didn't go on sale for 10 straight years. Can you imagine if Kohl's never sent out those books with the 40% coupons on it? Can you imagine if Publix chicken never went on sale for a decade? Stocks didn't go on sale for a decade. The minute they do, instead of buying more of them like we would at Kohl's and chicken, we run and hide. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. You can't control the market. All you can control is your attitude and activity. And when this stuff gets bad and you run and hide, the person that tapped out in March of '09, they lost the 40 grand. And let me tell you something, you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. There's another saying about horses I can't say in mixed company, but you cannot put that toothpaste back in the tube. Once you lose it, it's over. And if you make one of those mistakes in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you're going to change generational wealth. You're going to change higher education. You're going to make it hard for your beneficiaries to have the life that you worked your whole life to give them with one bad decision. Let's shift gears and go to the propaganda. If you have in front of you, and this is a handheld, so it's going to be tough for me to do, I want to go over one thing. I'll try and wedge in two. One thing that I think has come up in the last 12 months that scares me. It ain't the market. It's comments from people like you. If you would try to go to page 8 and 9. Any chemistry kids in the shadow program? Anybody? Right? Does everybody recognize this from their chemistry class? It's not. It looks like it. People call it that, the periodic table. This is a great visual. This is probably the second best visual that I can give you to make my point, and then we're going to get to the last one, and then I'll get out of here. What you have going back to '98, and the 2018 ones are still in the print shop. Doesn't matter. The point is the same. These are the major asset classes that you can invest in the market. There's more, there's alternatives, there's weird stuff, there's long, short, there's all that. But for the most part, in your retirement, these are the big buckets that you're going to allocate money to. Couple things. Anybody ever go on ESPN and hear an ad about put everything you have in gold? Yeah, that's a no. That's a hard no. If some clown on ESPN is giving you your financial advice, we've got bigger fish to fry. But these commercials, like I'm 43. maybe a little, if you're a little older than me, you remember William Devane. He was a pretty good character actor, probably in Quincy and, Rockford Files type stuff. Good shows, right? Good shows. He's on a commercial telling you silver's due to make a huge comeback. Well, why does it need to make a comeback? I thought they never went down. These people don't know what they're talking about. But if you look from 2011 to 2015, what was the worst performance? Oh, wait, that's commodities. That's where that whole gold and silver thing comes in. Which is why we don't put all of our eggs in any one of the baskets. The key here, and the new kind of whipping boy, is international. So last year, international stocks took a punch. They did. True news. But at the end of the day, that's on the one-year number, and most of the products that you're putting money away for retirement are longer-term products, so the one-year number is irrelevant. And so what I've started to hear the last 6 months is, man, I got to get out of that international stuff. It's doing poorly. Does that make any sense? Guess what the flows in international equities was in the second half of the year? Negative. It was outflows. They're on sale. What do we do with the chicken? What do we do at Kohl's? I mean, my wife will tear out of the house at 9 o'clock and be like, this coupon expires in a half hour. We're losing money if we don't buy you more socks. Like, no, we're not. No. That's not true. That's fake news. We're not losing money. We're spending less money. We're not losing money. We're not losing money. Yet if Apple has a bad quarter, people say it's because Steve Jobs died. Those phones are no good. Everybody in the room has one. Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google. Does anybody think those guys are going away? Well, they're not, okay? But the key to me here is we're not going to get rid of one of them because they had one bad year. What we're going to try to do, does everybody see, and you could probably see it from here, the white box that kind of jumps out at you visually? Do you know what the white box represents? An equal share of all of the other colors combined. That's called diversification. And that is the most important thing you can do. Why is it important? How many times did the white box win? 0. Much more important, how many times did it lose? And that is the biggest takeaway here. It's when it's at the bottom is when you make the bad decision to get out at the absolute worst time. And if you're diversified, you'll be down some years. Oh, wait, diversification didn't save you. But if it kept you a little bit more in the middle of the road, you stayed out of the ditch. Does that make sense? So right now, when you hear things like, get rid of international, put it all in gold, and do this and do that, and small caps are going to outperform, we're going to have a little bit of everything. We're going to have it every year. We're going to not bet on one horse to win the race. We're going to bet on all the horses, and we're going to bet on all the races, and over 20 years, you're going to be fine. Does that make sense? Okay. Lastly, we're going to land this plane right on time, I promise. We're going to go to the best visual that I can show you and use. We're going to go to page 12 and 13, and we're going to talk about probably one of the greatest investors of all time. And it is not Warren Buffett. I want to introduce you to Margaret Reedy. This is a real MFS client. And I'm going to share with you her story, true news, factual. We have the accounts to back it up. And I think we will make the most powerful point we can make about not making stupid short-term decisions. Does that sound fair? Okay, read along with me. In the blue box, over 27 years during her career, Margaret invested $80,000, $81,000 into a boring vanilla product that we happen to manage, not the point of the story. And she plugged in $250 a month, 401k, the whole deal. This is how most of us are going to live in retirement. And for you shadow students, start putting away $5 in your piggy bank right now, because if you can, hey, I didn't really miss that $5, we can up it to 7. Hey, I didn't really miss that 7, we can up it to 10. And by the time you're older, you'll be just putting the money away for long term. And that's the key to all this. So over the 27 years, and I guess I could stop the story here, the $81,000 grew to $675,000. If I stopped right there, I could make the case that dollar cost averaging, putting money away every month, over the long term is a very, very, very powerful force. Would you agree that putting 81 grand and having it turn into almost 700 is a good plan. Okay. I like my guy in the purple over here. This is how you all need to be engaged over here. Okay. I was only 12, so I can't speak to this. But in 1987, there was a Monday, I see some nods so people remember, where the market went down 500 points. Okay? Now, the irony is we do 500 points now before breakfast, right? But it's off of about a 26,000 point scale. What people don't understand is that 500 points represented a 25% decrease in one afternoon. The point equivalent today would be about 6,400 points. If the market went down 6,400 points today, somebody would have pulled the fire alarm and you'd all be back at your offices. It would be a big deal. Okay? So what we did, very clever on our marketing folks, if you see the blue line represents the 675 grand, what we then did is we overlaid a Chicken Little Margaret Reedy, a Sky is Falling Margaret Reedy. And we put her in cash the month after the Black Monday event of 1987, which is what happened in 09, which is already starting to happen in January of 19. Again, we never learn. We never learn. And so let's run out the ground ball. The 675 gets cut in more than half. If you made one decision, so from 72 to 87, you're stuck with your plan. It's pretty good. But that 500-point drop, that 25% cut, scared you. You couldn't sleep. You had the heartburn. Zantac 150s weren't in existence back in 87, right? You were crushing the Tums. You go to the bank and say, I'm tapping out. Your 675 gets cut in half. If the story ended there, I think that's an incredibly powerful story. We are only at the halfway point of the story. I want you to turn the page because now we're going to talk about Margaret Reedy's life in retirement. And here's where it starts to get weird. I'm going to go super Boston on you. It gets wicked weird. All right? Because for the first chunk of time, you're putting money away. What happens when you retire? We're going to start taking it out. So it's the whole point. Let's continue to run out the ground ball. If we talk in blues, that's the stick with the plan Margaret Reedy, she begins, and to juice the numbers, we begin taking out 5% withdraw, and we kick that up by 3% a year to keep up with inflation. So we're taking the money out. Look at these numbers. From 99 to 2017, we would have put $847,000 in Margaret's pocket for spending money in retirement, and we would leave her kids $512,000. This is off of $81,000. In the most average product in the world, I have 50 products at our firm that are better than the one we're talking about. So this isn't some magic beanstalk. It is a small vanilla, no Jimmy's, no whipped cream. It's the lamest thing we got. Okay? Let's go back to Green Chicken Little. So instead of starting with the 675, she's down in the 300s, right? We do the 5% withdrawal. We kick it up by 3% a year to keep up with inflation. Now we put $394 in her pocket. Again, not terrible. And we say to the kids, do you want your 10 grand in 20s, 50s, or 100s? If we do some rough math here, stay with me, 850 plus 520, maybe we'll round that up to $1.4 million. Does that sound fair? Versus Chicken Little, 400,000. What was the decision in 87? $1 million mistake. These are not fuzzy math numbers. This is real bullets. I tell you this because someone in your village, and I hope it's not you after today, but somebody in your life is going to say, you know what? I saw that State of the Union. He's the devil. I saw that State of the Union. Those ladies didn't clap. I know that the guy over there in Russia is and Hillary's going to run again. You're all going to tie politics to stocks. Fail. Total fail. Let's say he wins next time. Let's say he loses. Are you not going to watch Netflix? Let's say he wins next time. Let's say he loses. Is my wife going to put on a pound of makeup to go to the North Point Mall, or is she going to continue to have an affair with our UPS driver who, because of Amazon Prime, is in my driveway every single day? Mueller comes back. They didn't collude. He did collude. Are you not going to go on Facebook to rant about whether he colluded or not colluded? Think about it. We're at the chamber event. We got about 6 minutes to land this plane. We're at the chamber event. If one of you needs a good or service in your county, are you not going to Google it because the last election went a certain way? There's absolutely no logic to that thought process. Oh, the Democrats took the House, so I'm going to go into CDs. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and I hear it every week. I hear it every week. Where I'm from, it was a Republican won the White House, I'm going into CDs. There's zero correlation between, and I'll tell you right now, so when Facebook went public, Zuckerberg came to MFS, and for 6 hours, we got a bunch of guys that went to Harvard and ate lunch at their desk. We beat him up, sent him down in the freight elevator and passed on the IPO. It went down, and what did we do? Bought it on sale, because that's what people do. At the end of the day, life is going to go on. We're going to have ups and downs. This happens. What happened in December, we weren't just due for it. We were 5 years overdue. So the fact that it happened was actually, in our industry, is welcome. Like, we need a sale. We're putting money away every month. I want to buy more shares because the price is lower, not less shares because it's been going up for a decade. Make sense? But at the end of the day, you cannot control it. Therefore, you shouldn't worry about it. I put it in the irrelevant. People ask me, what did the market do yesterday? I don't know. I wait for one of you at one of my events to tell me how good or bad it's going. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what you do when it happens. There's only one true devil in investing. That's selling it when it's on sale. Literally, that book I have, there's a bunch of allocate, diversify, rebalance. We got some good stuff in there. We don't have time to go through it all. But if you get all those wrong, but all you manage to do is stick to your plan and not tap out when it's on sale, I'm telling you, you're going to have a great retirement. True news. And with long-term, I mean, listen, let's be, 1 in 2 90-year-olds has Alzheimer's. That's not going away. Guess what Alzheimer's is? It's terrible and it's wicked expensive. We need to save. We need to make good decisions for the long term and not get caught up in the short-termism that is plaguing us all. Last thing I'll say, when the market went down 500 points in 1987, how many news channels were there? When it happens now, you all have your phone on your nightstand, which is next to your iPad. They start melting as soon as you turn them on when that thing goes down. You're going to go downstairs, you're going to turn on the TV, they're going to tell you that the world is coming to an end, you're going to get to work. You're going to hear it 100 times more than they did in 87. And remember page 12, 13, 14, one mistake in 1987 would have cost Margaret Reedy $1 million. I don't know about you, but I don't have $1 million to lose. With that, I want to thank a couple people. One, Edward Jones, folks, raise your hand. Yvonne had me in here, and we booked this before the bad stuff happened in December, so it's better to be lucky than good sometimes, right? And we couldn't have timed this any better. I can't thank you enough for putting up with the accent. I hope you left me some food, because that looked ridiculous, and as you can tell, I'm pretty good with a knife and fork. I like to eat. And I'll put it on all of you, a little bit of, if you're not asking for the order, if you liked it and you want to hear it again, I'll come back next February and you can hold my feet to the fire whether I was right or whether I was wrong. Does that sound fair? Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great day.